want to thank you guys for coming to the call tonight. This is my weekly Here to Help You webinar. I think everybody that's on the call tonight's been to these before, but for the people that might be watching through the replay that haven't seen one of them, I do these calls weekly on Monday evenings at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and they're just for you guys. I come on and do some sort of presentation or a demo of something, or I play a special video. Then I answer questions that I got in emails through the week, and then I take your guys' live questions after that and try to answer here on the spot if I possibly can, if it's something that I can help you with. There's generally nothing for sale on these calls. These are all just for you. This is your chance to come on to a live call and get some immediate help with something that you might have questions about. So I want to thank you guys for coming out to the call tonight. Tonight's call is a little different from the usual calls. I don't really have a training so much as more of a motivational type presentation. And the reason for that is in one of my autoresponder sequences, I have an email that goes out that asks a question, and I hope to get responses back from it. And the week before last, I had several people that joined that autoresponder list, and they all got that email about the same time. So I got several replies this week, and they were all just about the same type of response. So it prompted me to do kind of a special kind of presentation for you guys tonight. And actually, it's kind of leading up to the end of the year, in that come 2015, I'm going to be doing a couple of things differently. And I don't want to go into all of that tonight. We'll actually may go into it some next Monday night. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of these responses that I got, and like I said, I created a special presentation. It's kind of like more of a motivational type thing than anything else, but it kind of leads in to what's going to happen for next year. And also, before I get started, the email I sent out tonight to my list in general that was reminding them of the InstaBuilder 2 closeout, I made a mention in there that there's only 3 Here to Help You webinars left, and some people, I guess, didn't fully understand that statement. There's not just 3 Here to Help You webinars left. There's only 3 left for this year. I'm going to continue to do these. It's just there's only going to be 3 more chances this year to get on one of them. So a lot of people were confused by that statement. Apologize for that. I should have worded it a little differently, I guess. Some people thought I was going to actually quit after the next 3, but I'm not. I've gotten to the point where I like doing these now, and I hope you guys like coming to them, and I know a lot of people like watching the replays that can't come to them. So yeah, I'm definitely going to continue to do these next year. Just that it's going to change a little bit, and like I said, I'm not going to go into all of that tonight. We'll probably talk some more about that next Monday, and then probably the following Monday after that. But let's go ahead and do our presentation for tonight, and then I'll take the questions that I got in the emails. Okay, hopefully you guys can see the presentation on the center of the screen there. If it's too small for you on your screen, there's a little plus sign up there in the top right hand side you can click on to make it a little bit larger. But I think I made this one big enough to where you shouldn't have to do that. Again, like I said, this presentation tonight's a little different from normal what I usually do. As my pastor would say, if I had to give this presentation a title, I would call it Your Dreams Are Not for Sale. So let's go on to our first slide here. Every online marketer's dream is to be successful, and that's one of the the things we fall into when we join people's list or we buy a product. They give us promises and hopes of being successful, and a lot of times they give us the guarantee or the promise that it's going to be quickly. But that's what everybody's dream is when they first get started with trying to do online marketing, is to be successful at it. And as new marketers, we'll try just about everything to make it work. I mean, every email when you're first starting out, and you don't really know what you want to do, you get emails, about one business model and then another business model or a program that works or a system that works. And we all kind of hopscotch around in the very beginning, trying a little bit of this and that and the other. And sometimes you have a little bit of success with it. Sometimes you don't have any success with it, and you give up on it and you try something else. And then you're waiting for the next thing to come along that's really going to be the big breakthrough for you, that's going to make things work for you. And like I said, sometimes we fall for the hype of the instant success and the overnight riches and the push button claims of, money in your PayPal account overnight. And, most of that, like I said, is just hype. It's gotten to the point where a lot of people that write these sales pages, they know hype is what sells, so they really lay it on thick in their sales pages. And especially if you see a sales page with a whole lot of screenshots of somebody's PayPal or ClickBank account, they're really laying the hype down, trying to get you convinced that what they have is the end all be all solution that works for everyone that tries it. And you get emails like that over and over and over again. If you're on very many lists, you probably get 10 or 20 of those a day. I know I get at least that many, 10 or 20 a day, telling me about how they've got the next big thing that's going to work for everybody. Anybody that tries it has instant success, and nobody ever fails with it. But the reality is those things seldom happen. And what I mean by seldom, I mean it's extremely rare. There is the chance that you're going to fall into something that's going to work right off the bat for you. You may just be perfect timing on something, and you give it a shot and it works for you, and you see pretty good success with it right off the bat. But like I said, it's extremely rare that does happen. Most of the time, anything that's going to be successful is going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take some time and dedication to make it work. And like I said, sure, you can get lucky sometimes. I've seen people that just happen to fall into a good deal with, say like a network marketing or MLM startup is just getting started. They get in at right at the very beginning of it. And because it's brand new, they're getting all kinds of downline members under them. So, they feel like they've just fell into a lucky gold mine. And like I said, it's extremely rare that happens. And it could be that you buy an info product that tells you how to create your own products, and you create a product and you stick it out there for sale, and just instantly, somebody picks up on it and starts recommending it, and it starts making a lot of sales. I mean, things like that can happen, and they do happen. It's just, extremely rare that it's going to happen for you, but it can happen for some people. But again, like I said, it's not likely, and often for those that do get lucky, it's just a fleeting success, especially in the case of the example I gave of a network marketing or MLM instant success. What you find particularly in network marketing MLM is that those people are pretty much program hoppers. They ride the wave as far as something being new, and just as soon as the downline members and the recruits start falling off, and then the guys that are at the top are ready to move on to the next one that's launching, and follow that same cycle over and over again. Now, it also happens, with people that release products. I've seen people that release, an ebook or video series, or even a piece of software, or even a great WordPress plugin that, just is instant success. But because, they've had that instant success, they don't have any experience behind how to manage that success and how to keep it running. That's all they ever see is that one instant success. I couldn't tell you how many people I know that just happened to get lucky, that created something that some other big affiliate picked up on and promoted it for them, and then it spread and they got a lot of success out of it. But then they never were able to come up with anything else after that. They didn't have the experience behind them to be able to keep that success rolling with a plan, to have the next product or next program or system ready to go to follow it. It's kind of like being in the music business or being an actor or actress. I mean, you can have one great hit, but then If you don't have anything that follows, if you're not in any other albums or videos or movies after that, well, then your success is going to dry up and people are going to forget about you. And that happens a whole lot in the online marketing world, where people will have a product or something that gets, instant success, and then they don't follow up with it with something else because they don't have the experience to create another program or system that they can follow up with. Or, and this happens a lot too, and there's a friend of mine that last year he got lucky and had the Black Friday sale that everybody promoted, and he got lots and lots of commissions out of it, lots and lots of list subscribers out of that Black Friday sale because everybody was promoting it. Not 3 months later, I'm talking to the guy, and he has no clue what to do after that. I mean, he's got this instant success, this great big huge list that he gathered from all these people that bought his Black Friday sale, but he has no clue how to use it or what to do with it. So just last month, I was talking to him again, and he's let that list completely dry up. Nobody never opens his emails anymore, and he has no product to follow up with. He didn't follow up with another product after that Black Friday sale. So that's a great example of what can happen if you don't have the experience behind being able to keep your success flowing. And again, like I said, it's a lot like a musician that has one hit song and then they never have another after that. That happens a lot of times in the entertainment business, where somebody's a one hit wonder is what they call them. So what does it take to really be successful? That's the question we need to answer. It just takes one simple thing, and that's dedication to stick to a plan. This is where most people fail, is not having the dedication to stick to something that they're trying. Like I said in the very beginning, we'll jump through several different business models and programs and systems. And to be really successful, you need to pick one that you like. There's probably a couple, 3 dozen business models that in online marketing that really work. You just need to pick one of them and dedicate yourself to learning how to work that business model. And even in the lean times, don't get discouraged and give up to try something else. That happens a lot of times. You'll work a business model that others are successful in it. I mean, you see other people that are making money in it, and you see other people that are having, huge success, and they're in some of the elite affiliate circles, or, they're winning some of the leaderboards. But it just seems like you just can't seem to break into that circle. It's just not working for you, and you've been trying for a little while, and you finally get to the point you give up and say, well, I'm going to try another business model. This is just not working. I can't figure it out. And a lot of times when we do this, we're often just quitting right before our major breakthrough. You never know, especially in product creation, when you're going to create a product that somebody else is going to pick up on as an affiliate and really run with it and make and turn it into a success for you. And that happens a lot, that with, like I said, the people that will create a product and just get lucky and have some big major JV affiliate pick up on it and promote it. You never know when that's going to happen for you, but you need to be prepared for it when that does happen by knowing the business model that's back behind that product and how you got it to that point to start with. Now, all of us fail at one point or another. There is no one ever that has 100% success. I couldn't tell you how many times that I have created a report or a video or even a WordPress plugin that just did not sell at all. I mean, I have some programs that have never sold a single copy. My easiest solution I give to people to get started in online marketing is the Easy Passive Sales System. I have over 200 products listed over on the JVZoo Marketplace, and there is a slew of them that have never ever made a sale, and they probably never will. But had I have given up on that because, I had a few that didn't make a success, didn't make any sales, then I wouldn't be getting sales from the other 50 to 75 that get sales regularly. It just takes the dedication to say, well, this one didn't work, but I'm going to keep trying it and do it again. To give you another great example of that is the mobile apps. I love doing the mobile apps because that's about the only business model I know that truly is set and forget. You do it once and it just sits there in that marketplace, and if it picks up and people start downloading it, it's going to make you money residually over and over again for no more effort than your initial effort of creating that app. But I've got lots and lots of apps that have never had more than 100 or 1,000 downloads, and they've never made me more than 50 cents or $1. But then I've got other apps that are consistent. They grow, the downloads grow every month. But had I have given up after those first few that didn't make money with them or didn't get very many downloads, well, then I wouldn't have the others that were a success. And that's where a lot of people get discouraged and give up because they create something and it fails, and they figure, well, this business model just doesn't work, or I don't know how to do the right things to make it work, so they give up because they had one failure. But the truth of the matter is, failures are, in a way, a success because they tell us what didn't work, or they show us where we went wrong. And that's how you have to look at a failure, is that it tells you what you didn't do right or what will not work. There's been times when I have created a product and just knew in my heart that it was going to be a good selling product, that everybody was going to like it, and it was going to be, a good success. But I created that product with my own intentions in mind of something that I thought would work, that I would buy if I wanted it, not thinking about what the end user, the consumer, wanted. And that happens a lot too, that you create something or you go into something that you think everybody's going to want, but when it really turns out it's something that you wanted but not everybody else. Or it could be there's just a small limited amount of people that may have wanted it. It may not be as widely spread as you thought it might be. That happens a lot too when you go through some courses. They tell you about picking a niche. They tell you to sub-niche down and really hone in on a really small sector of a niche. And sometimes you can do that too much. You can get down to so tight a niche that there's just not enough people to really see a success in creating any kind of a product or a website or a system around it because it's just too small. And again, sometimes you can sub that down into something that there's just nobody interested in it. I mean, there's just some things where, you might be interested in it, but then there may not be, a dozen more people in the world that might be interested in it. But, that's wherein, like I said, when you have a failure like that, that's where you just need to analyze it and what went wrong and use that as a learning experience for the next time when you work on something. You know that you did this before and it didn't work, so you don't want to repeat that same thing over. But the truth of it is, if you're working a business model that others are working and making money with, there's no reason why you couldn't too. It just takes the dedication to stick with it. And like I said, even if you don't see success or very little success at the very beginning, just continue to stick with it and just make it, a dedication in your mind that you want to see this work because you know it's working for others. Like I said, you just need the dedication to stick it out, even when you don't see the successes right off the bat. When I first got started writing the short reports, that was how I first got started, was doing these little quickie 7 to 10 page short reports. Probably the first few I created might have sold 1 or 2 copies, or I'm sure I had a few that have never sold any. But I know in the very beginning, the first few didn't sell very many because really I didn't have any experience with it. I was still learning the business model, still learning how to write, how to format documents, how to even create the documents. I didn't really even know how to do that. So the first few I didn't do very well at all, but I stuck it out. I've in a year and a half time, just sticking it out, I created over 150 of them. And out of those 150, I would say there's probably a good third of them that went on to be, pretty good successes. And I still see sales to this day from some of those that I created back in 2007, nearly 7 years ago now. But it was the dedication, of sticking with it after, my first few that didn't do very well, that weren't very good, that not many people bought them, or, the first few that didn't sell, any at all. Dedication of sticking with it, say, I know this works because I went through the training. The guy that trained me how to do this, he's making it work for him. All I got to do is follow what he's doing and it will work. But that's how it got started. I just stuck with it, even though, I didn't see success with the very first few that I did. So let's do this for 2015. Go through all of the business models that you've tried, and I guarantee you there's at least one of them that you like, that you really want to work in, that you feel like you're comfortable working in it, and that you have a good working knowledge of how it works. So pick a decent, a business model that you're happy with, that you would like to work. Write out a set of small goals, just simple small goals. And by what I mean by simple small goals is like, get the website up, get the first product going, or the first members in the downline, or the first members in the membership site. Shoot for little small goals at first. A good rule of thumb that I have found with setting small goals is to try to achieve 3 customers a month. Try to achieve 3 new customers a month in whatever you try. And if you get those 3 early on in the month, continue going to see if you can double or triple that. Just set the little small goals like it to get the thing working and get just a little bit of success with it. Don't create massive goals that are hard to reach, like you want to make $1,000 the first month, or $10,000 in the first year, or you want to see 50,000 list subscribers in 90 days. Those are just great big goals that are hard to hit. And if you have great big goals set like that and you don't hit them, well, it's really discouraging to keep going when you don't hit those goals. And then the third thing is, create some sort of a plan for achieving these little small goals and success. And what I mean by creating a plan is to break each one of these little small goals down into some sort of step-by-step system that you can follow to achieve each one of those goals. In the example of getting 3 new customers or downline members a month, figure out a step-by-step plan on what you're going to work to try to achieve that. And once you see that's working, well, then work on the next small goal. But don't forget about the first goal and try to repeat it again for the next month. Okay, and then the final piece of advice I want to give you is, don't be afraid to fail. Like I said, everybody fails. There's nobody that's had 100% success. I've never had 100% success, and I don't know anybody that ever has. Now, there's people that, just like I said, fall into something lucky, and, they have instant success at their first try. But if they don't have the experience behind what got them there, they're not going to see that success again right after that first success, unless they do decide to learn the business model now that they've had a little bit of success, to see that it works. Sometimes that is the driving goal for people. When they see that they've had a success, that's the driving goal for them to continue on. But for most people, it doesn't happen that way. They see that as a success. They figure that they've got it all figured out and that it's going to happen over and over again. And because they don't have the experience of learning that business model, it doesn't happen for them. And then lastly, don't be afraid to seek out help when you need it. There's just so many people that, contact me throughout the week saying they just have no clue how to do one part of a business model, or getting a product ready, or getting something for sale online, or getting a squeeze page up, or maintaining their list. Just recognize when there's parts of the process, that you don't understand, and seek out help to get it done. It may be that you need to outsource that part. I've told this over and over again. When it comes to creating graphics, if I've got a PSD, a Photoshop file to work with, that's a huge head start for me, and I can usually figure my way through it and come out with something that's fairly decent to use. But if I had to start all over with fresh graphics, nothing to work with, just a blank slate, I couldn't do it. So that's why I outsource all graphic creation when I had to start from fresh. It's just something I've recognized is not a skill that I have, something I'll never be able to do. And really, I just don't have time for it. It may be that, if I really applied myself, I could really learn it. My wife is an artist and she can paint pictures of just about everything. But that's just something I can't do. It's not saying that I couldn't learn it, but I don't have the desire or the time to learn it. So I would just as soon outsource something like that as to try to do it myself and let that be a stumbling block from keeping me getting something done. There's a guy I talked to about a month ago that was his huge stumbling block. He couldn't get decent looking graphics on his sales page. He wanted to do them all himself. And I asked him, well, how long have you been working on this sales page? He said, 6 months. I said, 6 months you've been working on a sales page? I said, you could have outsourced that to somebody on Fiverr or the Warrior Forum and had it in less than a week. But you've been working on it for 6 months and you still can't do it. So, he let that be a stumbling block. Now, I'm not saying that he had a great product that was going to sell good or whatever. I don't even know what the product was. I don't even think he showed me the product at all. He may have told me what it was, but I don't think I had access to see what it was like or not. But he let the creation of graphics for that sales page go on for 6 months, and he still didn't have it ready for sale. So, that's a prime example of, you want to do the things yourself. You want to learn to do it yourself, but you can't let that be a stumbling block. You just need to recognize your limitations and recognize when you need to ask for help. Do you guys have any questions on any of that? Like I said, I get these type of questions quite a bit, and the email that went out last week that a lot of people were on that list that joined about the same time, I got several responses back from one email that was pretty much all the same type of response, asking, how to get started, where could they see instant success, um, and that type of thing. So that's what prompted this whole presentation, was just to give you guys a little bit of motivation to, stick things out when you try something. I've got a general rule of thumb when I try out a new business model, and I very rarely try out a new business model anymore because I pretty much know the ones I want to work. But in the beginning, when I was first learning, what I would do is I would give everything at least 90 days. I would concentrate on that business model for a full 90 days just to make sure that I'd learned it well and that I'd given it every possible opportunity to see if I was going to have a success with it before I gave up on it and tried something else. And like I said, there's probably a couple dozen or more different business models that definitely work. It's just that, they're not suited for everyone. A great example of that is CPA. We know CPA works for a lot of people, and a lot of people like to work the CPA business model. It's not something that I like. I know how it works. I know how I could use it to, generate an income with it, but it's not something I like. So it's just something I gave it a shot. I tried it for 60, 90 days, and I've seen what the hurdles and the headaches were in it. I just decided it's something I didn't want to do, so I haven't tried CPA since then. Now, I'm not saying that CPA is a bad business model. A lot of people, like I said, work in the CPA business model and they love it, and that's how they make their full-time income, is by doing that. But that's them. That's what they wanted to learn. Another great example of that is the Forex market. A lot of people like to work in the Forex market and trading in the Forex exchanges. That's something I looked into for, I gotta admit, I didn't really give that one a really good shot. I only gave that one like 30 days, and it was just, the terminology was too much for me to start with. I couldn't even catch on to the terminology, so I knew pretty quick that that wasn't one that I wanted to do. But there's lots of people that, they pick right up on that, and that's something that they like, and if they stick with it, they can figure out how to look for those signals and pips or whatever they're called, and they know what's a good one and what's not a good one, and when to get in, when to get out of some of those markets. But that's just something I couldn't pick up on. Like I said, I had problems just even learning the terminology in it. But the opposite end of the spectrum of the Forex market, and kind of related, is the options trading market. Again, that's something that, you know, I probably could learn it if I wanted to, but it's just something I'm not interested in. But yet, I have a training course that I sell that's in the options trading niche, and that training course sells well. But that's as far as I go into the options trading, is selling a training course. And if you were to ask me questions about options trading, I'd have to go look them up. You could you you could get the same answers I could, because I'd have to go to Google and ask Google, or I have to ask somebody else that knows. But yet I still have that product that's in the options trading niche that when I promote it, and I do occasionally promote it. I don't promote it as much as I used to, but when I do promote it, it sells well. But that's just the opposite end of the spectrum. I have a product that's in that niche, but yet I know nothing about that niche or have any interest in being in that niche at all. Any questions or comments on that? Or have you guys all pretty much picked out a business model that you're happy with, that you're willing to work in? Let's see a show of hands for anybody that has a business model that they're working. So Everest hasn't picked one out yet. Dana says she basically got one. I pretty much know what you're going for, Dana, and you've already been working it for a while, so you just got to figure out how to get it to work in the online world. Jen DG says not earning yet. Elizabeth says somewhat. Dana says I like membership sites and information products. Membership sites and information products that's my bread and butter. That's where I do most of my income, is from membership sites and information products. Now, not all the information products I create are my own. Yeah, as you guys know, I look for, really high quality resale rights, and I love the resale rights business model. Even though it can be really competitive, I love that business model. Mary's saying yes. Amazon affiliate. Amazon affiliate is another great business model to follow, and I delve into Amazon affiliate business model myself, not on any kind of steady, consistent basis, but I have websites that are set up in particular niches that that's all it is Amazon affiliate websites. The cat hit the dots. So you got a cat that does some typing for you, Mary? I got a cat that likes to type too. Okay, well, like I said, that presentation was kind of a preamble to what I'm going to be doing in the next year, and I just wanted to, since I got several emails asking about the same type of thing, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a sort of a motivational type presentation on picking a business model. But like I said, I'm going to be doing some things a little bit differently next year, and we'll probably talk about those next week, and then probably definitely the last Monday of this year, we'll definitely talk about it that Monday. Okay, well, let me go over the questions that I got in the email. I didn't get that many questions, but I got some pretty good ones. Okay, the first one I got says, how many list subscribers does it take to make money? There's no really set number of subscribers you need to, have a good, successful, responsive list. You can have a really, really small list and it be, profitable for you. It just depends on how you work the list and how responsive the people that are subscribed to your list, how responsive they are to opening your emails and clicking links, and then listening to what you have to say about, what you're promoting. I've used this example before. I would much rather have a list of 1,000 people that are responsive and opening my emails as to have 100,000 people on my list where you know, 0.1% of them will open your emails. I mean, that's how I basically look at it. Is, you know, there's no really good set number of list subscribers you need. It's just all in how you work that list and make it responsive to where people will open your emails and then click the links. And of course, you know, putting your personality into the emails that you send, you know, to get people to listen to you and follow you in what you're saying in your emails. That's the biggest thing when it comes to list subscribers. It's not really the amount, but how you work that list. Um, I don't have a big list compared to everybody else. Um, just to be totally transparent with you, in my AWeber account, I've got 2,100 subscribers. I get 300 to 500 new subscribers into those lists every month, but at the same time, every month I'm culling out another 300 to 500, so it never really gets above that count. But then in my Get Response account, I've got just under 1,000, and it's really responsive, the list I have over in Get Response. But then I have another autoresponder account that's with Jeff Noyes. I know you guys have heard me talk about Jeff Noyes before. Um, I've got probably 10,000 people on that list, but it's not a very responsive list. Out of that 10,000, I can send out an email and might get 50, 60 opens. Might get 5 or 10 clicks out of those 50, 60 people. Got 50, 60 people out of 10,000 that will open an email, but only 5 or 10 that will actually click a link. And then I've got another autoresponder account. This is one I'm running on my own, where I bought Rapid Mailer back a few months ago when you guys remember Rapid Mailer got released. And I've got probably 25,000 people in those lists. But again, it's not a very responsive list. Um, I can send out an email with it and might get 100, 150 opens out of 25,000 people. Out of those, might get, you know, 10 to 15% of them that will actually click a link. So compare those huge lists, you know, that I have compared to the AWeber and the Get Response. My AWeber and Get Response accounts really kick butt to those other big lists. So, you know, having a huge list doesn't mean anything really. If it's a huge list and they're not opening your emails or clicking links, you might as well not even have them, especially if you have a huge list on one of the monthly autoresponder services and you're paying for that big amount of people to be on your list and you're still not getting results out of it. You might as well delete all those people and, you know, have a small list of responsive people. The next question says, what do you think about InstaBuilder 2, the Pro version? Um, it was actually Wednesday. Let's see, InstaBuilder 2 got launched on Tuesday of last week, I believe it was. It was actually Wednesday of last week before I actually got access to it. My purchase was one of them that had problems that didn't go through, so it was like 24 hours later before I got access to it. And I got to install it Wednesday, but I didn't get to do anything with it until Thursday or Friday. And the very first thing I did with it was create a sales funnel with it. And it was a little bit of a learning curve figuring out how to create the sales pages with it, but I figured it out and I like it really well. And if you guys read the email I sent out yesterday, one thing I discovered in it, and I knew it had the one-click to HTML, and I think just the regular version of InstaBuilder without the Pro version has that one-click to HTML. But the Pro version that lets you create the funnels will actually let you export the whole sales funnel that you set up as HTML files. And I thought that was pretty neat. I just discovered that over the weekend that it would do that. Now the other features that are in the Pro version, the click tracking, I've looked at that. I've yet to figure out how much good it's going to do for me. It's not really as detailed as some of my other click trackers that I use, but it is pretty neat to be able to click the console there and see the amount of clicks that you got to pages and opt-in results. It is pretty neat. I just haven't figured out really how to use it. I think the Pro version is worth having. Basically, I'll say that much. I think it's really worth having. I don't know what kind of template she's going to come out with monthly for it, but it really doesn't matter to me because I'm going to be creating my own most of the time anyway. The next question says, I can't get InstaBuilder 2 to install. I get an error about the upload is too large. What can I do? This happens a lot with WordPress plugins when you go to install them through the upload feature inside of install a plugin. And what happens in a lot of cases, and I've had this to happen to me before, is the hosting provider you have has your upload limits set really small for PHP scripts, and WordPress is all PHP. One hosting account I have has it set so low, I mean it's like 2 megabytes, and there's not a whole lot you can upload with 2 megabytes to WordPress anymore. So I had to contact that hosting provider and get them to up that limit. A good limit with WordPress needs to be at least 16 megabytes or 32 megabytes. That's the very minimum it should be set to. So, and your WordPress, when you go to upload a plugin, it'll tell you right there at the very beginning, or even when you go to add new media, it'll tell you what your upload file size limit is. And if it's below, like I said, at the very minimum 16 megabytes, if it's not at least 16 megabytes, you need to contact your hosting provider and get them to up that limit. I think the InstaBuilder 2 install is like 4 megabytes. So that's probably what they're running into is, is the upload limit is set too small. They just need to contact their hosting provider to get them to up that limit. The next says, you mentioned Emailjeet last week. I saw there was an update today for it. Have you tried it yet? No, I haven't. I've pretty much given up on Emailjeet. Like I said, that when it came out, they claimed it was going to be a replacement for autoresponders, and we found out that it wasn't. It has never been CAN-SPAM compliant to start with, and I don't see them ever adding that into it that it will be CAN-SPAM compliant, so I'm never going to use it just because of that. I mean, I could force it to be CAN-SPAM compliant, but why should I have to? I mean, that was the whole purpose of the program. It was supposed to be a replacement for an autoresponder. And like I said, we found out from the very beginning that it's not. But then with it not being, CAN-SPAM compliant, I can't use it. So, yeah, I seen that email today too about an update, and I haven't even tried it. And I don't know that I will. Like I said, I've pretty much given up on it ever being a viable program to use. And then the last one I got says, how do you feel about MLM as a way to make money? MLM, which stands for multi-level marketing, in case you don't know, is it's a business model that a lot of people work. I personally don't care much for MLM. There's not one that I'm involved in now. I have tried several of them in the past. In the presentation, you'll know, if you remember, I mentioned people that will jump from MLM to MLM with gathering a downline, and as soon as they see the recruits start to die down, they jump to the next one. There's people that work that business model, and if you time it just right, you can make money with it. My suggestion, if you are interested in network marketing or MLM, is don't go for the new ones. Go for the ones that's been online for at least, I would say at least 5 years. If they've been online 5 years, that means they've went through all the FTC compliances, and they are legit. And you're pretty much safe that you're not going to lose your money with them. There's a lot of these new MLMs and network marketing schemes that come up that aren't FTC compliant, and you can lose your money with them really quick. So, and I'm not saying that that every new one that comes up be leery of them, being a scam or whatever. They could be started by a reputable company. It's just they're brand new. But one that's been online for at least 5 years, so they are compliant, or they wouldn't still be around. MLM's a tough business model to work. It really is. You really have to like recruiting people and then helping those people to learn to recruit people. And that's something I don't particularly want to do, is train people on how to recruit. Because MLM breaks down to not necessarily the program or the product that you're selling. It comes down to the person you're following as a leader. Do you want to follow the person that you're joining under, and do you feel like that they're going to be able to train you for you can be a leader to the people that are going to join under you. So, if you're not interested in becoming some sort of a leader and a protege to people and helping them to learn to recruit downlines, I wouldn't suggest MLM. But like I said, if you did want to do it, it is a decent business model. I would just pick one that's been online for at least 5 years before I'd even consider it. Unless, like I said, it's a known company that's, has other MLMs and network marketing programs they've run that's still successful, then you got a pretty good chance of the new one being worth trying. Okay, that's all the questions that I got in email this week. Okay, Dana says, I've downloaded IB2 and IB Pro today. They are installed separately. Yeah, they're two separate installs. IB InstaBuilder 2 is they have the main plugin, and then the Pro version is what adds the funnels and the click tracking and the split testing and all that. It's like an addition to the regular plugin. So yeah, it's two separate installs, although they both install just like a plugin does, but the Pro version is actually a separate add-on to the main plugin, and it'll actually show as two separate things on the left-hand side under the navigation as well. Have any of you guys that have gotten InstaBuilder 2 created any pages with it yet? Either opt-in pages or sales pages, either one? Has anybody done any of those yet? Deb says no. Dana says just getting started. It's, if you go through there and create, one of the templates that she gives you with it, you can create one really fast with one of the templates. I found a few caveats to some of the editing, which I'm going to be going over that in the training when I create the training on some of those caveats that I found, but it works really well. I mean, what I found out another, and it was probably pretty obvious to everyone else, but for me, it was off to the right hand side of the screen. I had to scroll over to find it, but you can actually click a button that lets you enter straight HTML code in a lot of those sections, and I found a lot of use for that, being able to enter straight HTML into those sections. In fact, a great example of what I did with that, the latest training course that I've got out, I started it out over on my SWR membership. I set up pages over there for the members over there to be able to access those training modules, but I wanted to move it over into an InstaBuilder 2 setup for the public when I started launching the WSO. So when I found out that I could put straight HTML code in there, I went into the pages I'd created over on the SWR membership and just got the code and went over into InstaBuilder 2, the Pro version, and just clicked that button to enter the HTML code in there, and it speeded it up a lot by being able to, instead of having to create it all by hand. So now what I want to try with it is taking an average sales page and just cutting and pasting the code in there and just see how it handles it. That's one of the biggest things I have about WordPress and sales pages and opt-in pages. It just doesn't act like regular HTML does, so I'm kind of interested to see how well that works out. I'm just now getting to the point where I can actually have time to play with something like that, because I've been working on that sales funnel ever since last Thursday. Thomas G says, I made one, found a video bug, but found a workaround too. Oh, great. So you found a video bug. The pages I created with it in that sales funnel this weekend, there are 4 pages in it that has videos in it, and they seem to work. Of course, I didn't play all the videos all the way through. There might be some bugging I didn't know about. What was the bug that you found, Thomas, if you can tell us quickly? They were too small? Okay, was that from using a little drag and drop thing when you drug the video element over into it? It sets them out too small initially? Is that where it happened? Because what I did is I took one of the I think it was a download page, and on that template for a download page, it had a video place mark for a video already in it, and all I had to do was just go in there and put the YouTube video ID code in it. So it seemed to work okay, but I didn't create one from scratch. Okay, so you tried the embed code with iframe. Now I haven't tried that yet, so I don't know what that will do. So there's a bug in that, huh? It comes out too small. Now, one thing I did discover with it was with the images is if you're using one of the templates that has a header at the top and it has an image in it, if you pull that image out and then drag another image into it, it comes out way too small in the very beginning. And I figured out a workaround for that, and I can't remember exactly what I've done now, but I figured out the workaround for fixing that. But if you pull out the image that they have in there by stock and then put your own in there, it makes it really, really small to where, you know, it's in particular the image I was using, it was unreadable. But I figured out a workaround for it. I just can't remember exactly how I done it now. There's a lot of posts in the Facebook group about using the template that has that bug. Thomas, have you used it, that image editing feature in it yet? With the, I think it's Avery. You got to set up an Avery developer account to be able to edit images. Not yet. I did that. I set up that, and that was pretty neat. She doesn't give a really good example of what you're supposed to do with that developer account, but what I figured out with it, when you go to set up that developer account, the very first thing it wants you to do is create either an Android or a Microsoft or a web app. And she didn't tell which one you needed to create or how to even create one. So I had no clue what to do there. But what I did is I just chose a web app and just gave it a name, didn't do anything with it, but just name it. That's all I did. And it gave me those key codes that you need to plug in the InstaBuilder in the settings. And that's apparently all it took. I mean, I didn't actually have to create an app, or in my vision of how you would create an app. All I did was just give it info on what I wanted to call one, and it gave me those codes, and that's what InstaBuilder wanted. But after I did that, I was able to go in there, like a particular image I was telling you about that came out too small. I was able to click on that image and edit it, and then I was able to resize it from that image editor, and that was pretty neat. Like I said, that's all I've done with that image editing, but it was pretty cool to be able to do that. Okay, well, guys, I don't think I have any announcements for tonight. Like I said, training was kind of a preamble to what's going to be happening in the next 2 weeks. There are going to be some changes next year into these Here to Help You webinars, but I don't want to go into all of that tonight. Probably talk about it a little bit next week, but then definitely the last one we do, which will be on the 29th, I believe it is. On the 29th, I'll give you more details about how these Here to Help You webinars are going to change a little bit. I'm actually going to be adding a new feature to it. It's basically what it is. I'm going to be adding a new feature to it that we didn't do this year. But if you guys don't have any other questions, I guess we'll go ahead and call it a night. Thanks for coming tonight. I'll have the replay ready for you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. If you didn't get InstaBuilder 2 yet, I think probably everybody on here does have it, but if you didn't get it, it's closing out tonight, this launch price, and it will go up tomorrow. That's for sure going to happen. So if you hadn't got it yet and you can swing getting it, I would recommend getting it tonight before it goes up in price. But have a great night, everybody, and thanks for coming. See you next week.